It was a chilly October evening when Sarah and her younger brother Jake pulled up to their new home on Maplewood Lane. The house loomed before them, a dilapidated Victorian structure that seemed to sag under the weight of its own history. Its once bright paint was peeling, revealing layers of faded colors beneath, and the windows were dark and hollow, like empty eyes watching their every move. "Are you sure this is the right place?" Jake asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. He clutched his backpack tightly as if it were a shield against whatever darkness lay within. "Of course it is," Sarah replied, forcing a smile to mask her own apprehension. "Mom said it's just temporary until we get settled." As they stepped inside, the air was thick with dust and the faint smell of mildew. The wooden floor creaked underfoot, echoing through the empty halls. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision, but Sarah brushed it off as her imagination ran wild. After all, they had just moved from the bustling city to this quiet town in search of a fresh start. "Let's explore," Jake suggested, trying to lighten the mood. "Okay," Sarah agreed, though she felt a knot tightening in her stomach as they wandered deeper into the house. Each room they entered told a story of neglect, faded wallpaper peeling at the edges, furniture draped in white sheets like ghosts waiting to be uncovered. In what appeared to be the living room, they found an old fireplace with soot-stained bricks and a mantel lined with dusty picture frames. Most were empty or faded beyond recognition, but one caught Sarah's eye, a portrait of a young girl with hauntingly beautiful features and dark hair cascading over her shoulders. The girl's eyes seemed to follow them as they moved. "You think she is?" Jake asked, peering closer. "I don't know," Sarah replied slowly. "Maybe she lived here long ago." The first few days passed uneventfully as they unpacked boxes and explored their new surroundings. However, as night fell, an unsettling feeling began to creep into their lives. It started with whispers, soft murmurs that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. At first, Sarah thought it was just the wind playing tricks on her, but Jake was not so easily convinced. "Did you hear that?" he would ask each night as they lay in their separate rooms. "It sounds like someone is talking." "It's just the house settling," she reassured him. "Old houses make strange noises, but deep down, Sarah felt a knot tightening in her stomach every time darkness enveloped the house. One evening, while unpacking a box in the attic, she stumbled upon an old diary hidden beneath a loose floorboard. The leather cover was cracked and worn, but the pages inside were surprisingly intact. Curiosity piqued, Sarah began to read the diary's entries aloud to Jake during dinner. The entries belonged to a girl named Eliza, who had lived in the house over a century ago. Eliza wrote about her life filled with dreams and aspirations, but also about her growing sense of dread as she felt a presence in the house, a malevolent force that seemed to watch her every move. The more they read, the more Jake's face paled. "What happened to her?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah flipped through the pages until she found an entry dated just days before Eliza's disappearance. It spoke of shadows lurking in her room at night and whispers calling her name. "I fear I am being drawn into something I cannot escape," Eliza wrote. "That's creepy," Jake said, shivering despite himself. "It's just an old story," Sarah replied dismissively, though she couldn't shake off the chill that ran down her spine. As days turned into weeks, strange occurrences escalated. Doors creaked open on their own. Items would go missing only to reappear in odd places. And at night, both siblings would awaken to find their bedroom doors slightly ajar despite having locked them before bed. One night, Sarah awoke suddenly to find Jake standing at the foot of her bed. His face was pale and his eyes wide with fear. "Jake? What are you doing?" she asked groggily. "I heard someone calling my name," he whispered. "Just go back to bed," she said softly, but felt an icy grip around her heart. She glanced at the clock. It was 3 a.m. That same night, Sarah had a vivid dream where Eliza appeared before her. a ghostly figure draped in white with sorrowful eyes that seemed to plead for help. "You must leave this place," Eliza whispered urgently, before fading into darkness. When Sarah woke up with a start, she felt disoriented, but also compelled to learn more about Eliza's fate. She decided that day she would visit the local library, after school. There had to be more information about this girl who seemed so trapped within these walls. As days turned into weeks, strange occurrences escalated. Doors creaked open on their own. Items would go missing only to reappear in odd places. And at night, both siblings would awaken to find their bedroom doors slightly ajar despite having locked them before bed. One night, Sarah awoke suddenly to find Jake standing at the foot of her bed. His face was pale and his eyes wide with fear. "Jake, what are you doing?" she asked groggily. "I heard someone calling my name," he whispered. "Just go back to bed," she said softly, but felt an icy grip around her heart. She glanced at the clock. It was 3 a.m. That same night, Sarah had a vivid dream where Eliza appeared. The next day after school, Sarah visited the library and discovered that Eliza had vanished without a trace. One stormy night after writing her last diary entry, rumors swirled around town about dark rituals and sacrifices made within the walls of their home, a practice believed to have been conducted by Eliza's own father, who had dabbled in occultism. Armed with this new information, Sarah returned home determined to confront whatever haunted them. That evening, she gathered supplies, candles for light and salt for protection, and set up a makeshift seance in the living room with Jake reluctantly joining her. "Are you sure about this?" he asked nervously as they lit candles around them. "We need answers," she replied firmly. As they sat in silence surrounded by flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on walls, the atmosphere grew thick with anticipation. It felt almost electric, as if something were waiting for them. Sarah called out softly into stillness, "If you're here, please show us a sign." The candles flickered violently, as if responding to an unseen force. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from upstairs, a sound that sent both siblings jumping to their feet. "What was that?" Jake gasped, wide-eyed. "I don't know. Let's check," urged Sarah despite trembling nerves coursing through her body, and before her, a ghostly figure draped in white with sorrowful eyes that seemed to plead for help. "You must leave this place," Eliza whispered urgently, before fading into darkness. When Sarah woke up with a start, she felt disoriented, but also compelled to learn more about Eliza's fate. She decided that day she would visit the local library. After school, there had to be more information about this girl who seemed so trapped within these walls. With trembling hands and hearts pounding in their chests, they climbed the staircase toward the source noise. The hallway was dark and oppressive. Shadows seemed to stretch toward them alive. They reached Eliza's old bedroom door, now ajar, and pushed it open cautiously. Inside was chaos. Furniture had been overturned as if something had violently erupted within these walls. In the center room lay an old trunk, covered with dust cobwebs. A trunk that looked eerily familiar from Eliza's diary entries. "What is that?" Jake asked nervously, peering over Sarah's shoulder. "I don't know," replied breathlessly, lifting it out cautiously. As soon as she opened it, a gust of cold air rushed past them like an angry spirit escaping its prison. Lights flickered violently before plunging them into darkness entirely. In pitch blackness, panic set. They could hear whispers swirling around them, echoes of despair and anger mingling together until became unbearable. "We have to get out," Jake shouted over a cacophony of voices, but before they could move, they felt an icy grip on their wrists pulling back toward the trunk. The very thing unleashed horror upon them. "Sarah!" Jake screamed, fighting against whatever force held captive. With all strength, Sarah closed, the box shouting into the void. "Leave us alone. We're not here for you." Whispers grew louder until it became a deafening roar. Then suddenly, silence fell like a heavy blanket suffocating all sound around them. In a moment, Eerie stillness and clarity struck Sarah like lightning. Remembered Eliza's plea for help, not just for herself, but anyone who dared enter this cursed home. They needed to free Eliza's spirit from the tormentor, the malevolent force trapped here long ago. "We have performed a cleansing ritual," declared decisively, despite shaking fear adrenaline coursing through veins. Gathering everything they could find, salt kitchen protection candles in various rooms, they set up Eliza's bedroom while chanting words of memory after reading rituals online earlier that day. As they chanted together against the dark presence that loomed over them, light flickered back, existence illuminating shadows dancing along walls. They felt warmth enveloping them, sunlight breaking through storm clouds, pushing away despair, lurking within those walls too long. Suddenly everything shifted. The air thickened again, but this time felt different. There was resistance against chant. Shadows coalesced into a figure, a dark silhouette with hollow eyes glaring down, filled with rage. "You think you can banish me? I am eternal!" It hissed through clenched teeth, reaching out toward them. "No, you will not take us!" shouted Sarah defiantly. With renewed determination fueled by fearlessness-born love for each other, they pressed on, chanting, louder until finally, the dark figure shrieked piercingly, echoing throughout every corner room before dissolving into nothingness. As silence descended once more, they felt the weight lifting off their shoulders. The oppressive atmosphere dissipated, leaving behind only echoes of what once was. A sense of peace replacing dread. Eliza appeared before glowing softly now, her eyes filled with gratitude instead of sorrow. "Thank you," she whispered softly, fading away light and leaving behind warmth radiating throughout every inch surrounding them. Jake turned toward Sarah, smiling brightly despite everything faced. "Together." "We did it." "Yes, we did," replied Sarah, relieved yet exhilarated, knowing conquered fears beyond comprehension together. Days turned into weeks after that fateful night, and life resumed its normal pace on Maplewood Lane, without any lingering traces left behind. They transformed their home into something beautiful, filled with laughter and joy instead of darkness and despair. But sometimes, late at night, when shadows danced along walls, they'd hear whispers carried by wind, reminding them to always remain vigilant against forces unseen, lurking just beyond sight, waiting patiently for another chance to reclaim what once belonged. One evening, while sitting on the porch, watching the sunset painting sky shades of orange and pink, they spoke about everything endured together during those harrowing weeks. "I still can't believe we faced something so terrifying," Jake said thoughtfully, gazing at the horizon ahead. "I know, right? But we did it together," replied Sarah, smiling brightly, feeling warmth radiating heart, knowing the bond between siblings was stronger than ever before. However, as months passed by, strange occurrences began resurfacing again, this time subtle, yet unsettling. Doors creaked open without reason. Lights flickered unexpectedly while shadows danced across floors seemingly alive once more. One afternoon, while cleaning the attic, Sarah stumbled across another hidden box containing letters written by previous owners, detailing experiences living there, including mentions of strange happenings similar to those faced themselves years ago. Each letter revealed deeper layers of history behind haunting, revealing connections between families who'd lived there over decades, each sharing the same fate, unable to escape darkness, dwelling within walls surrounding the home. Feeling compelled to uncover the truth behind the past, it became a mission to uncover secrets buried deep beneath the surface, revealing web lies and deceit woven throughout generations, leaving trail breadcrumbs leading straight heart mystery hidden long forgotten. With newfound determination, Sarah enlisted the help of a local historian named Mr. Thompson, who specialized in researching town folklore and legends regarding supernatural occurrences. Together, they pored over documents and records tracing lineage, families residing Maplewood Lane uncovering chilling patterns repeating throughout time. They discovered that every family who lived there experienced similar phenomena, ultimately leading one member to vanish without explanation, leaving behind nothing but whispers lingering in the air. It became clear now, The house wasn't merely haunted. It was cursed, bound by malevolent force-seeking souls fed insatiable hunger, darkness consuming everything its path. Mr. Thompson warned them about the dangers of confronting such entities, stating the only way to break the cycle involved confronting the spirit directly face to face, releasing trapped souls, binding the curse forever. Determined to end the Wantiu nightmare once and for all, Sarah gathered courage alongside Jake, preparing to confront the entity lurking shadows, waiting patiently to return home. They knew the stakes were higher than ever before, risking everything to save other future generations, falling prey to the same fate faced countless times in the past. On a stormy night reminiscent of the first arrival, they set up a protective circle using salt candles surrounding the perimeter, creating a barrier preventing an entity from escaping during confrontation. As thunder rumbled outside, lightning illuminated the room, casting an eerie glow around figures standing resolutely ready to face whatever awaited beyond threshold darkness. With hearts pounding loudly and echoing ears, Sarah called out boldly into the void, "We are here to confront you. Show yourself." Instantly, shadows coalesced, forming a grotesque figure towering above them, filled with rage and malice radiating, coldness chilling bone deep. "Foolish children, you think you can defeat me? I am eternal. I thrive on fear." "No more," shouted Jake, stepping forward bravely despite trembling hands gripping tightly sister's arm beside him. "You will not take anyone else." Together they chanted words learned from ancient texts, invoking powers of light, pushing back against encroaching darkness, surrounding them, forcing the entity to retreat step by step, until finally it shrieked, piercingly echoing throughout every corner room, fading away, leaving silence enveloping space once again. As dawn broke, illuminating sky shades of gold and pink, the siblings stood victorious, breathing heavily, feeling weight-lifted shoulders, knowing finally freed from the curse binding generations past. Eliza appeared briefly, one last time, glowing softly and expressing gratitude before fading away, completely leaving behind warmth, radiating throughout every inch surrounding the home, now filled with hope instead of despair. From then on, their lives transformed forevermore, embracing new beginnings filled with laughter and joy instead of haunting memories lingering past. They shared stories with friends and neighbors, recounting adventures faced together, strengthening bonds, forging adversity, overcoming fears unimaginable, proving love conquers all, even the darkest depths imaginable. And so, the legacy continued. But now, instead of fear, there existed courage forged through love, overcoming even the darkest depths imaginable.